Welcome to the Heal, Thrive, Dream podcast, where trauma survivors become healthy thrivers. Each month, we'll feature a theme in the trauma recovery and empowerment field. To promote your recovery, healing, and learning how to build dreams, here's your host, Karen Robinson, transformational coach and therapist.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Heal, Thrive, Dream podcast. Today, our guest is Becky Beach. She is a six-figure printable store owner that lives in Dallas, Texas with her family. She helps others create their own six-figure and beyond digital product businesses. And I've been one of her customers from time to time, so I'm thrilled to have her here today. Thank you for being here, Becky.
Oh, thanks so much, Karen. I'm really happy to be here. I just love your message that you're doing your podcast.
Thank you. And I was really excited to have you as well, because we're in a mutual group called 1111, and it's to help us to be more of, getting our imagination and dreams to life by, really saying what we want to the universe and crossing our fingers and our toes and declaring it so. And I remembered in that group one time you mentioned something that made me think, oh, she'd be a good fit for my podcast. So please share with us anything that you're willing to share about your past and any traumas that you've been in.
Oh, sure, Karen. Well, I grew up in a really abusive household. My mother and father got divorced when I was 5. So after they got divorced, my mother developed schizophrenia, and she started abusing me, like sexually, mentally, and physically. And it was really rough growing up there. And my dad ended up getting custody of me at 12. So from 5 to 12, I endured a vast amount of abuse. So I just know how it feels that if one of your listeners is suffering from abuse, I know what they're going through. It's just horrible experience. But you can definitely get through it, because I got through it, like right today, like I'm a six-figure business owner, and I'm making sure to help other people like get through abuse too, and by sharing my story. Mm-hmm. So I'm really proud of what I've overcome.
Yeah, because I'm guessing it wasn't always easy to overcome.
Oh, no, it was. Like, we were living in a house with no electricity and running water, because my mother would not pay the bills because she lost her job. So it was like really rough. Then we ended up getting our house foreclosed on, and we almost became homeless. But my dad got custody of my sister and I and took us to an apartment. And my mother became homeless, for like a couple weeks. So it was like really rough times.
Mm-hmm. And so you were young when your traumas happened. Like first of all, how did you do in school? How was your academics impacted, if any?
Well, at the time, I wasn't doing very well academically. My mother kept telling me I was stupid, fat, and ugly. So that kind of ingrained in me, where I kept telling myself that I was stupid as well. So I wouldn't do my homework, and I was failing my school. But then I turned around and I started, doing my homework eventually. And I ended up getting into all honors classes when I was in high school, because I would do my homework by candlelight. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I ended up doing really well. So I wasn't stupid after all. She just told me that because she thought I looked like my dad, so she took her anger and abuse out on me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, but how did you get yourself from not doing your work to get into your work? Like, what do you remember what happened?
Oh, yeah, yes. Like, there was a time when I was in 5th grade, like I went into the bathroom and I was going to take my mom's pills and kill myself, because I was getting teased at school. I was fat, so that I would get teased for that. And then I'll come home and eat food. So it's kind of like a cycle. So I ended up wanting to kill myself at like 5th grade. And then like something stopped me. Like I remember feeling this light or this energy. Like I believe in God. I think it might have been God or Jesus, and I just stopped myself. And then from then on, I thought, I'm going to be successful. I'm not going to let this overcome my life, because I'm better than this. Like, I know I can overcome this tragedy. I don't have to let what's happened to me frame my life. That's what I thought to myself. So then on, I started doing really well in my schoolwork, and I started getting straight A's. Then in high school, I got into all honors classes and in pre-AP classes, and I ended up getting lots of college credit done in high school.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. So you really turned it. I didn't realize that you had a suicide ideation during that time frame. I don't know what you know about my story, but I actually had an attempt probably around that same age. Mm-hmm. And thought God also intervened on my behalf as well. So I'm glad that you didn't choose that route. You know, a lot of times people say that's the easy route because living can be so hard, right?
Mhm.
So, okay, that's a pretty powerful testimony too, that you overcome a suicide ideation, you overcame all kinds of childhood abuse. Did you have any abuse at all after, or any traumas after you left your mom's care? And, like in
Oh no! Like
adolescence?
my dad was a very very good dad. Like he never abused me. You know, like I've got spanked, of course. You know, like that's not really abuse in my mind.
Mhm.
But like he was a very good dad, and he just devoted his whole life to me. I ended up developing bipolar disorder, so I was in and out of mental hospitals. And then finally he ended up passing away because he started chain smoking cigars, and that ended up ending his life. It was like really sad. But he was a very good dad. I miss him a lot. I wish he could have met my husband and my little baby. You know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, so a lot of, I'm a therapist and I worked with a lot of people in hospitals and while they're hospitalized and after, before. Any trauma related things happen while you were hospitalized? Any assaults or anything like that? Or was it a positive experience?
Oh yes, there was like a assault. Like I had this roommate when I was in the mental hospital, and she was very violent. And she came at me with like I don't know, she got like a knife, one of those little, whatever they call it, what's like a handmade knife, and she came at me with it, and she tried to hurt me. But then I got out of the room, and then a nurse like tackled her. But it was like very violent, place because they had the men and women, separated. But some of the women were really violent. And then she tried to kill herself with that same little thing she made. It's like a handmade knife. I don't know where she got it from. It was like a razor blade. It was tied to like a pencil stick. Like she intended trying to kill herself out of it. And then she ended up going to another ward. So I never saw her again. But it was like really tough time being there. And I would just hear people screaming all night, and I couldn't get any sleep. And then they had me room with this woman that was she was a vet from the Desert Storm, so she had post-traumatic stress disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And she was really really kind lady, but she's like telling me all this bad stuff that she'd been through in hospitals. Like she said she was raped, and just really horrible time. I was scared the whole time I was in there, and I was only 18 years old when I got put in the hospital. And then I got put in the hospital again when I was in like in my early 30s. I had another episode, so I was only in the hospital like two times in my life. But then it was much better because I was put in the adult ward when I was 18 because I was like considered an adult, but I was still a child.
Right.
So I had to be among all these women that were into drugs that also had drug rehab in that same place.
Yeah. It's interesting to ask people that, because a lot of people don't think to ask, like, well, what was your hospital stays like? But just from experience, a lot of people tell me some sort of traumas. It's not usually necessarily assault, but sometimes like orderlies. I had a few people, both male and female, that were sexually assaulted by hospital staff, and it's just really a horrible story. Or sometimes other patients would sexually abuse them or assault them. So that's kind of why I asked. I think you're my first person, though, telling me you were physically attacked. I'm glad that you were able to get out of the room.
She didn't end up hurting me or anything. Like I think she nicked me. I guess they call it a shiv. It's like a little razor attached to like a pencil. And she did like I got like a little like swipe, but then I got out of the room. And then I got attention of like a staff member or orderly. Like the orderlies were really kind. Like I didn't have any trouble with them. Like they were nice to everybody. But they kept the men and women separated, at night especially.
Mm-hmm.
And this one man invited me to his room. I think he wanted to have sex with me when I was in, but I decided not to go with him.
Yeah, usually that's what that means if they invite you to your room. So that was a good call on your part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about relationship traumas? Did you ever date anyone that had domestic violence or any sexual assault as a college student? Anything like that?
Oh, no, I didn't even date until I was 30 because I was on 400 pounds. Like, and I had a gastric sleeve done when I was 30. And that's when I started dating. And I didn't have any trouble. Like a lot of the men wanted to have sex with me, but I was against that. I wanted to wait until I got married because I told my father I was going to be a virgin until I got married. and because he really encouraged that, so because he was also one when he got married, and so was my mother. So he kind of encouraged that with me, so I really wanted to stay a virgin until I got married. So like a lot of the men I would date, like I met them on Christian dating sites, and a lot of them wanted to have sex on the first date, and I couldn't believe it. And I eventually met my husband at church, and then we started like just going to outings, like not really official dates. Then we got married 6 months later. He was my first. But I didn't have any domestic trouble at all. No.
Okay. I'm guessing he's a good man, your husband?
Oh yeah, he's an outstanding man. He's like the best man I ever met. Like he's just so sweet and sensitive. Like because he reminds me of a little lost puppy dog, like real sweet,
I'm so glad that your first serious relationship ended up being with a good guy. I think that's pretty fortunate. But I got
lucky.
Yeah, the weight thing, let's go back to that, because that I believe is probably one of the side effects or symptoms of trauma is the emotional eating. Would you agree?
Yeah, yes, it is. I was emotional eater, like big time, and that's why I've kind of put on some more weight. Like I actually weigh 260. And at my lowest, I was 200 after I had my surgery. But I kind of gained some more weight, and I do emotionally eat. Like I'll overeat too many carbs, and I love sweets. Like I love the sugary soda. I shouldn't be drinking this, and I love cookies and candy and cake, like all the C's,
Yeah. And so sometimes it starts out with, emotional eating, coping from trauma. And then, but it's also like anytime we're a little stressed, right? So, okay, well, good luck with that journey. I know I'm also overweight and an emotional eater. And I think I've weighed everything you can possibly imagine for weight over the years with the yo-yo dieting and so forth.
Yeah, I was doing really well. Like before COVID, I was like 240, and then I gained up to 280. So now I'm down to 260. So I'm trying to lose weight. I lost like 20 pounds since COVID hit. It's like almost 6 months ago since I started my weight loss. So I'm just not eating as much, carbs, and trying to stick to like a low carb, maybe paleo, keto diet.
Yep. And you're finding some success with that.
Oh yeah, I just every once in a while I'll go low carb, but today I just decided I'm just gonna eat, whatever. It's holidays. I probably go back like after the holidays, after I get my fill of sweets.
Yeah. So the next question I have is, I'm curious about your healing journey. So it sounds like, your faith was a big part of your journey. What else helped you recover from all the trauma that you went through?
Well, I've seen lots of psychiatrists and counselors over the years, and so they really helped. And also I did self-healing. Like I read a lot of self-help books, and I just I also did some meditation, like Raven does in her meeting. She talks about meditation a lot. And I checked out Dr. Joe, because Raven also likes Dr. Joe Dispenza. And I read lots of his books about like meditation and self-healing. And I think I kind of like helped to heal myself over time. Because when you go to see a psychiatrist, they just give you medication. They don't really talk to you. So they just give me medication and set me on my way. But me personally, I've done lots of like self-healing, and I like tell myself good things now before I would tell myself bad things, like stupid, fat, and ugly, and like stuff like that. Like I ran a bad tape, but now I run a positive tape, and I think positive thoughts about myself. I said that I'm strong, beautiful, and I can get things done, and then I'm successful, and then that kind of goes to my head, and I really feel that way about myself. So that's what ends up happening, because my mindset. Because if you tell yourself bad things, that you're useless and worthless, and then you're not going to be that way, because you're the one that set the tape for yourself.
Right. I call it a tape as well. Okay, say it again, the positives that you say about yourself.
Oh, that I'm like beautiful, successful, talented, and I can get things done. And then I end up doing that, and I don't let any negative tape go into my head. If I start thinking something negative, like, oh, I'm fat, I'll go, well, I replace it with, well, I may be a little chubby, but I'm trying to make things happen. I'm trying to, lose weight. and going to the gym. And I was going to the gym so much, I tore my rotator cuff. I have a 30% tear, and I was going to have surgery, but the doctor gave me a shot of steroids, and I'm going to physical therapy. So I kind of injured my arm because I was working out so much.
Yeah, I've injured both of mine too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, every time I try to be consistent working out, I have some sort of injury. So it's hard as you get older too. We get more vulnerable to injuries.
Oh yes, I'm now 40. So I definitely can relate to that.
Mm-hmm. I love your new tape, but I also love that it's sometimes when people say positive, it feels too Pollyanna, like someone's blowing smoke up your butt, right? But the way that you have it is like, you're not saying, instead of I'm fat, you're not saying, oh, I'm skinny. You're being real. Like, oh, I might be, chubby or overweight, but there are things I can do to improve. So
Mm-hmm.
I think our brain likes that. Our brain likes to hear truth, but also to have hope for our future actions. And when we just say I'm fat and I'm ugly, I'm stupid, it's not hopeful. It's really a crappy feeling to have. It doesn't help us be successful. So I like what you're doing with your tape.
Mm-hmm.
I also like that you have used a lot of self-help tools and self-help reading. Do you have a favorite book by Joe or any other favorite books come to mind from your healing journey?
I listen to lots of podcasts, and a really good podcast I recommend is the Jim Fortin podcast. Like, he does a lot of self-help and self-healing. I'm in his program. He's in this program called TCP, and I've been in that for like 6 times. And now I'm in his business training group, which is like he calls it, the business. Forget, I can't really think of it right now, but I'm in his business training group. It's really like his teachings, and it's one lady, I forget her name, but she had a really good book called a 5-second rule.
Oh, I know who you mean. Oh,
yeah, she is real. Mel Robbins. She's really good.
Yep.
Like, I really recommend. I think Devin gave her show, and I just love that 5-second rule because it makes you just get out of bed if you just want to sleep in. But then it said, like, well, in 5 seconds I'm going to get up and do this, and then you count to 5, and then you just make yourself do it.
Yeah, it's really powerful. Yeah. That's one of my hardest times too, is first thing in the morning, because I just feel like, oh, I could just sleep for another hour. It'd be wonderful. Yeah. And it's hard too when you're an entrepreneur, when you're on your own schedule. It can be even more challenging, so you have to be accountable to yourself. So what else has been part of your healing journey? I've heard self-help books. I've heard your faith, therapist, psychiatrist. What else has been helpful to you? Or did we get everything?
Oh yeah, and also like exercise, because at first I would think negative things about exercise, like, I would say, like, I don't know why I have to exercise when there's people that are so skinny that they can just eat wherever they want and never have to exercise. Like, why do I have to do it? Like, I would always feel like that it was a curse that I had to exercise while other people didn't have to. But then you could go to the gym. You see a lot of trim people, and the reason they're trim is because they go to the gym. Like, otherwise they'd probably be like you.
Right. Yeah, I go to Planet Fitness, and I love that there's people of all sizes there. It makes me feel a little more comfortable. And there's this big sign that says judgment-free zone. I like that judgment-free messaging.
Yeah, I need to try out Planet Fitness. I was going to this one called Lifetime Fitness, but they wanted like over $100 a month. And I just didn't go enough. And the trainer there was, he would just really like extended my limits. Like, he wasn't listening to what I wanted. He was just trying to train me like I was an athlete, but I'm just a mom with a kid, not no athlete. And so he really overtrained me, and then I ended up injuring myself. And now I got to pay for physical therapy and like all kind of doctor bills, but I can't do anything about it though.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So now that we've talked about, is there anything else about your trauma that you think would be helpful to share with others before we switch gears a little bit?
Well, after like I had that turnaround when I was in 5th grade, like I stopped letting other kids like tell me bad things, and I stopped listening to what my mother was saying, and I kind of just like I just shifted around like a shield. So then instead of a target, I became a shield, and actually a shield that would deflect, the abuse. So if someone told me something really awful, like for some reason I started deflecting it instead of absorbing it.
Well, tell me more about that. How did you do that? That's cool.
I don't know. It's so it was very strange. Like after that happened, and I felt that feeling from God, it's like He gave me the strength. I know that sounds corny or a lie and stuff, but it really happened. And so after that, I just started deflecting, and so I started, instead of absorbing, I would just it would just go back on the person. I'll think about, well, maybe that person's having a very bad day, instead of saying, oh, that person thinks I'm no good, I'm worthless, maybe I should go cry in a ditch. But then I would say, well, maybe that person had like a bad day, and and that's why they're taking their anger out on me. And maybe I should just show them a smile, and try to help them, because maybe their day's going really bad. So I would think about instead. And I was always trying to put other people before myself. I'm a big time people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
I know that can be good and bad, but my whole life, that's what I've been. I always want to make somebody else happy, and I go out of my way. Like I loved Christmas time. I'm always a big giver. Like I have so many gifts under the tree for people. I just love to buy gifts and spoil people.
I think it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand what you mean by the good and bad. It's I think another like a side effect of trauma, because we don't want to get hurt, and so we try to give to people all of our emotional bandwidth, and to try not to get hurt, and that doesn't work, right? If people are going to hurt us, they're going to try to hurt us. But I think the strength of being a giver is it's beautiful to give. It's very, very Christ-like. I'm curious about your relationship with your mom. Did it ever get healed? Are you guys estranged? Has she passed away? What's going on with your mom?
Oh yes, she passed away when I was like 27. Like she died of bone cancer, but before she died, we would go see her and reconcile with her. Like I would go to actually to Panera Bread with her, and we would both get like cinnamon buns. They used to make them with like big pecans, but they stopped making them. They're like really delicious. And we would each get one of those. And then I would go see her. She was living in Dallas in a group home. So my sister and I both go see her. My sister wasn't as abused as much as I was, like growing up, because she would leave and go to her friend's house. There was a lot of kids her age in the neighborhood, but nobody really wanted to be my friend when I was growing up, because I was fat. And I don't know why it's so bad to be fat. Like when you're growing up, like people just are so nasty to you. I don't understand it. And so I ended up taking a lot of the abuse growing up. So my sister didn't get as much as I did, but we would go see my mother a lot. And then we would give her hugs, and she was taking her medicine by then. And then I was told that she wouldn't have done those things if she was taking her medicine, because it was all the illness's fault. It wasn't really her doing it. Because when you're mentally ill, you become like a different person, especially if you're going through psychosis, which she was at the time. So she was thinking I was somebody I wasn't.
Right.
And then she started like telling people I was aliens and stuff, and she would think people are aliens in disguise. Like she was like really out of it like that. Like she would believe things that weren't true. So that was why. So then I kind of made peace with it. And then she ended up dying of breast cancer. And then like actually bone cancer, because first she got breast cancer and she overcame it. And then she ended up getting bone cancer, and that's what ended up killing her. Yeah. Like she got back her cancer in her bones and breasts. So that was like really sad. It was like when I was 27. And then I remember feeling really bad, because like on this Sunday I was supposed to go see her in the hospital, but I just couldn't bring myself to go back to that hospital. It was like a state hospital, so it was like really awful, and they didn't really take good care of it there, and it just smelled terrible when you went to the room, and I really didn't want to go. And that was the day she died, and I just always feel bad that I should have went then, but I didn't go. I kind of regret it.
Okay. Well, you can choose to regret it and feel bad, or you can just remember that you really worked hard on trying to have compassion for your mom and making peace of what was done for you. Like, and like even that first time you went to visit her shows huge compassion and grace on from you to her. So I would invite you to have that compassion and grace to yourself. Yeah, because you loved your mom. She wasn't perfect and she was sick, and you did what you could. with what you had at the time. And it would be hard for anyone to go see someone when the environment is so challenging. I imagine it was pretty triggering for you to be in that kind of environment, so.
Oh, yeah, yes, it was like hard at first, but then like I realized that she was totally different. Like the medicine was making her kind of herself again. Like she was no longer this abusive monster that she had been when we were little.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I kind of saw, because then I went to a therapist and they told me, yeah, she wasn't really herself. Like she was going through like psychosis. They kind of explained everything to me that wasn't really her. It was actually like somebody else. But it was in her body. That wasn't really she would never have done that if she had not have been mentally ill.
Right.
So then I kind of just made peace with her, and because otherwise I would still be angry at her to this day. But I'm not angry at her. I'm more angry that mental illness is pushed on the rug and is stigmatized. Right. And I'm actually afraid to tell people that I'm mentally ill sometimes. Like when I was working at my job, like I would never tell my boss I was mentally ill because I was afraid I would lose my job. And I have lost my job a lot when I was working because of my mental illness. Like I lost my job like 3 times because of my illness.
Yeah. So to comment on both of those things, like one is, even though you learned more about mental health and how your mom struggled with illness, you could have still chosen to be upset and angry with her, but you chose to have grace and compassion. Mm-hmm. So that speaks to your character, one. And two, I'm really glad you became an entrepreneur. That way you can work to your own schedule. And if you have an off day or a bad day, that's okay when you're an entrepreneur because there's lots of good days. So it's hard to fire yourself, right?
Oh yeah. It's like, because when you're mentally ill and you're working for somebody else, if you had, so some days I did have off days because I just didn't feel like myself. Mm-hmm. So I would get symptoms from my illness, and so a lot of times I would not go to work because I had those days, and eventually I wasn't able to get paid at all because they said you can only have like five sick days in like a year at this one job, and then they ended up not paying me because I took more days off. That was just a really horrible job. Mm. Now this awful toxic boss, and he would tell me I wasn't creative enough, and then I could never amount to anything. Like he was just such a horrible man. But then, like, because of him, that's why I started my business in the first place. So if I saw him today, I would probably give him a hug, because he changed my life. Because he was putting me down so much that I said I got to do something. I'm not going to let somebody put me down like this.
Oh my God, that's just such a beautiful reframe. That was so great. Yeah, and one of the things about my business I do is I teach survivors to leave toxic work environments and to go into business for themselves. That's why I have the full service agency. And so I want to hear more about your business, because I think the type of business you have is also very perfect. It's awesome for trauma survivors to learn more about printables and sell printables, because there's not a whole lot of overhead. Like you don't have to go rent out an office, you don't have to hire a huge staff until you grow. So tell us about your journey getting started for yourself and what happened to make you so successful.
Oh, sure, Karen. Yeah. At first I was blogging, and then I reached a point where I wasn't making as much money as I would like. I was still working my 9-to-5 job because you can only make so much from affiliate marketing and ads and stuff. And I just wasn't getting enough traffic to grow my blog so I could do it full time. So I thought maybe I should start selling products. So I opened a Shopify store and I started selling printables, but they were printables that I would have to make myself because at the time I did not know about PLR, which is private label rights content. Mm-hmm. So I was doing everything myself. So I would spend 3 weeks on one printable, and then I had 3 printables in my store. Then when I discovered PLR, I joined, I actually bought Ruthie's bundle at the time, Ruthie Bowers. Mm-hmm. She had this birthday bundle of PLR. So I bought it. And then now it opened a whole new world because there's all these new products that I could customize as my own. And it was already done in content. And I can just take it into PowerPoint and put my logo on it and change the colors and then rebrand it and then put it into my Shopify store and sell it. So I started doing that. And then eventually I ended up getting like over 80 products. And now I have like over 100 products in my Shopify store. And most of it's from PLR. And the more products you have, the more tastes you can get from customers, because a lot of customers have different tastes, of what they like. So you can attract different customers with the more stuff you have. And that's also true on Etsy. The more listings you have, the better chance you can get more sales, because different customers like different looks. And what I recommend is taking the same PLR and customize it different ways, then listing it into your store, because all of the top Etsy sellers, they have like at least 3 designs that are the same, but they're different colors and different covers to appeal to different tastes. Yeah. And it's like a trick they do.
Yeah. And how long did it take you to have your online shops before you started to see some success? Because I know it took a minute, right?
Oh no, it takes a lot longer than that. Like it took like maybe 2 or 3 months before I started getting at least $1,000 in sales, because I would sell it to my audience, like my email, and then I would make like funnels. I would make a free opt-in that was like a small printable, and then when they opted in to the form, they were redirected to a sales page, and that sold like the big printable and maybe even a bundle of printables. So I was getting lots of sales from that, and now I have like this freebie that they sign up and they get a monthly free planner. But when they sign up to the email, they're sent to a sales page where they can purchase the full planner. That's a weekly planner, or they could purchase 3 more printables in a bundle. So they can purchase six printables instead of 3 for $17. So they can either pay $7 for 3 or $17 for 6. And a lot of people spring for the 17. So I get lots of sales that way. And 2023 planners are very popular right now. So I'm giving a free 2023 planner, but then they could buy a weekly planner and then more things.
Yeah,
it's funnel. So I make a lot of money with that, with doing the funnel idea, and also selling to my audience. And also I'll just sell right on my blog post. Like if I have a blog post, like for instance, I made this blog post about cruise budgeting, and I made a budgeting planner for cruises, and I put that into the content, and a lot of people bought the cruise planner.
I'm going to have to put that on my travel website. I started up a travel blog so I can do affiliate travel stuff, so I could go on the marketer's cruise, for example, and get that tax deduction. So I'll have to look into getting that from you. I think I might have seen it. So I have to go back and get that, sounds like. Yeah, so do you love what you're doing? Do you wish you were doing something else? Tell me about that.
Oh, no, I absolutely love what I do. Like it really comes across in my spirit when I send emails out. You can just feel the love. I saw a lot of people tell me that when they get my email, they just feel like they're getting a big loving hug. And because it's just out the way I talk in my email, I'm just so happy every morning. I'm just really excited about my life, and I want to tell everybody about it, and I want to like just share my love with everybody, because as before I was just so miserable. I was working these 9-to-5 jobs as a web developer, and I don't know how I got into that business, to be honest. It just kind of fell into it. It really wasn't what I was looking for, because when I graduated with a graphic design degree. I wanted to just make pretty things like logos and brochures and stuff, but I ended up falling into web development. Like I couldn't get a job graphic design when I graduated, so I ended up getting a job doing web development, and then I ended up teaching myself on the job. I actually lied, telling them I knew web development when I got hired, because I just needed a job. I ended up teaching myself on the job, and then I ended up learning it.
I think I've heard those stories before.
Yeah, I just kind of faked it till make it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, all those steps that might have felt wrong at the time led you to where you are today, right?
Yeah, and then I started learning more and more advanced code, and then before I knew, I was just like looking at code all day, not doing anything else. And I was like, what is this? Like, where in my life? I was a creative artist. So when I was in high school, I was winning awards, and I was in museums for my art. Like, what the hell happened now?
So now what you're doing with creation feels a little more aligned, I'm guessing?
Oh, yeah, it's big time.
Mm-hmm.
I love it that I'm supporting my family with my art and my creativity. And yeah, because before I was just supporting it with coding and stuff, and then I didn't really feel proud of it, because there were so many people that are better than me, and because I was the only woman on the team, I was never promoted. Yeah. And then I was like a senior level for 10 years straight. I never got a single promotion. I was always looked over. And then everybody would always double check my code because I was a woman. They never did the same to men. When they brought the code in, they would always double, triple check my code. It was just very demeaning.
Yeah, so the way you're describing that is, again, another reason why I try to help women who feel, well, it's that kind of treatment and then harassment in the workplace when you work with a lot of men that can happen.
Yes, I have been harassed, like sexually harassed.
Yeah.
Like this man would make jokes about how big my butt is. I have a very large butt. Like I'm kind of like a pear shape, so I kind of extend outward and I have a smaller top and a bigger butt. So like my whole life, I've always been teased because of my butt. But this man would make comments about my butt at work, and I was scared. I was afraid that if I said anything, I would lose my job. So I just let him say that to me. And I never did anything about it. But then he ended up leaving and went to another job. So like that was good. But at the time, I felt powerless, like I had no say.
Yeah, it becomes to be like putting up with the abuse or losing your job it's not cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I worked for the military for several years as a government worker. So I had quite a bit of sexual harassment incidences why I did that work. So I can relate to what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just horrible. You just feel just completely powerless when someone starts saying that to you. You're like, maybe it's true, or maybe I deserve it. Like you never, like that's how I felt at the time. Like maybe I deserve this because my butt is really big. Like I didn't really think about like, hey, that I'm being abused here. I didn't think of it as abuse. I thought you just like teasing me. You know?
Well, it's your body does not need to be commented on by anyone other than yourself and the people you trust. So anyway, I'm glad that you don't have to deal with him anymore.
Oh yeah, it was just really horrible. Like now I'm in this great position where nobody's abusing me. Sometimes I'll abuse myself by making myself work too hard. Like I was very sick last week and I made myself work anyway. And now, like yesterday, I just slept the whole day. I just couldn't really do much. And today, like I was sleeping quite a bit because I was just working like a dog all week. It was by my own hand, I'm like my worst boss, like I'm probably the worst person you could work for.
So what are we going to do to improve that? Because I want to teach women that when you go to, and I'm guilty actually too, so I'm not going to lecture you about that because I need to practice what I preach. However, so together, could our message be on getting women to treat themselves as compassionate as possible? What would be your advice?
Well, I would really advise women to do more self-care because that's what I try to do lots of self-care. Like I should have went to the nail salon yesterday or even Friday because my nails have grown out. I just really like to sit in one of those chairs and get massage.
Yeah.
Have them work on my feet. I really like that. It's very comforting. Like I might even go today. I think it's only like 4 o'clock. I'll probably go today because I really need to get my nails done. And I have lots of calluses, that to be removed. I mean, to go into the nitty-gritty details, but what I mean, like some nice self-care, like maybe take like a relaxing bubble bath.
Yeah.
Because I love these Lush bath bombs. Like I've actually subscribed to the Lush Kitchen where they send you like a big box of like bath stuff every single month or every couple months.
Ooh, that sounds divine.
So it's fun. Yeah, it's a subscription service they have called Lush Kitchen.
That sounds amazing. Are you an affiliate for them yet?
No, I probably should be. I always talk about it a lot,
Well, as I told you, this episode will be aired several months after we're recording. So if you become an affiliate, let me know and I'll add that to our show notes. Because people listening to this will probably want those bath bombs now.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah. All right. So as we wrap up, if there's women out there right now, or the women right out, I can't talk today. The women who are listening out there who may be really in a terrible spot, maybe they're currently being abused or in a harmful relationship, or maybe they have a toxic job. What words of comfort can you give them right now? Like what words do you have that could inspire them?
Well, I would say to just believe in yourself. I know that's like been overdone, like if you heard that before, but really you really should just believe in yourself and know that whatever you think of, you can do. It's all in your mind. It's a mindset issue. If you're going to just be a victim, you're always going to be a victim. But if you stop, say, hey, I'm no longer going to be a victim of this person or my circumstances, I'm actually going to like thrive. You know, I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to be somebody and be successful. It's a choice. Like I chose to be successful. Otherwise, I would just be here sitting in the pity party, like thinking about, oh, woe is me. I was abused. And I don't mean to be like that, but I say, well, I could be having a big pity party for myself, you know, and inviting nobody because nobody wants to come to a pity party. Or I could, you know, say, hey, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to like start something, like start a business. I'm not going to let these people trash me, like these awful bosses. I'm not going to let them pile upon me and be their bitch or anything. I'm actually going to do something. I'm going to get out there and make things happen. I'm going to help people. I'm going to provide value. I'm not going to like sit here and take this anymore. I'm going to do something. You know, I was like that. I have a very strong go-getter mindset now. I don't let anybody push me around. Like I don't even let my husband push me around. Like if he like tries to make me do something, I'm very stubborn. Like it's really hard for me to do anything at all. You know, like when someone wants me to do something, I only do something if I really 100% made up my mind to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Now, for people who want to see more of your work or purchase items from you, where do they find you online?
Oh, sure. Actually, I have a membership called the Business Beach Club, and it's only $29 a month, and you get access to all of my courses. I have over like 15 courses now, probably almost 17, that you immediately get access to. And you also get one PLR product a month. It's commercial use, so you can recustomize and sell in your Etsy shop or other store. And you also get access to another training. And I do Facebook Lives every month where I tackle, you know, topics such as, you know, believing in yourself. That was this month's topic. And the next month I'm going to talk about money mindset. So it's a really good time to join. And then I hope then Karen will get a percentage of the profit if you buy with her link.
Oh, well, there, I better hurry up and get my link then.
Oh yeah, yes. And there's also another tier of the membership, which is pro, and that involves group coaching. So you get group coaching every single week with other ladies, and it's a really great group.
Awesome. Perfect. And you mentioned that one of the things that helped you was building that funnel. Is any of your courses helping the women that hire you, your sources, is any of that towards helping them build that funnel as well?
Oh yeah, yes. There's actually a course that teaches how to take a PLR and then use it as a freebie, and then also use it as a paid product, and how to make a sales page with it, and also make an email form. So it's a big giant, it's a smaller course. It's probably take you like less than 2 hours to go through. Mm-hmm. And you can end up making a really good funnel to use for your audience.
Perfect.
And that's called Tripwires Made Easy Mastermind.
Tripwires Made Easy. I think I'm gonna get that for my VAs to do for me.
Oh yeah, yes. You get that in the membership. You know, I've never sold it alone. It's only for the membership.
Right. Okay, well, that's really helpful. I think you have a lot to offer, Becky. Women out there that are really just fed up with their work for whatever reason. You know, e-commerce and digital products is a really nice way to make a living, you know, and be your own boss. So it can be beautiful.
Yeah, I so agree. It's like one of the best businesses to be in because, like you said, you don't have to keep any inventory, and because extra inventory is extra stress. And also shipping is stress, where you have to go to the post office with all these packages. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen these people having to go to the post office and all these packages in their car. And doesn't that just look stressful, just the look of it?
Considering it's hard for me to go to the post office at all to even mail a letter or get stamps, I think that might be really hard for me.
Yeah, getting stamps is the worst. Like, I still have Christmas stamps from like a year ago.
All right. Well, Becky, I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to be here with us and to giving back to the women out there who could use your expertise. So it's wonderful when we have survivors who have overcome and healing and being successful. So it gives that woman listening hope too. So thank you so much.
Oh yes, thanks so much. And my definition of success isn't how much money you make. It's actually actually being your own person and then not letting anybody upset you, just totally getting into yourself, and not, this isn't about the money you make. So don't think of success as money. Like I do make lots of money with my business, but I think more that I'm successful because I've overcome my abuse and I don't allow it to bother me anymore, and I'm strong. So it's all about being strong and displaying strength.
Yes. Excellent point. So thank you so much. Okay. Thank you for everyone for tuning in today, and join us next week.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you for listening in today. Please join us next week, same day and time. Also, I would love for you to check out my website, healthrivedream.com.